How can Iran's smallest warboats disappear when a gunship can watch the sea long after the sun is gone? That is the trap hidden inside this story, because speed is useful only until someone sees where you're going. Before we dive in, hit like if you want facts instead of noise, subscribe for sharper defense stories, and share this video with the one friend who says small boats cannot change a war. Because in one narrow waterway, they can threaten tankers, economies, navies, and the line between deterrence and disaster. But first, we need to separate fact from fantasy. The title sounds simple. Iran has small attack boats. The AC-130 has giant guns, so the boats lose. Real warfare is never that tidy. An AC-130 can be devastating against exposed surface targets, especially at night, but it is not an invincible hunter. It is a large, slow aircraft that depends on intelligence, control of the air, disciplined crews, and rules that prevent it from firing at the vessel. There is also no reason to treat every online claim about current gunship patrols or destroyed fleets as verified. The real lesson is interesting. Detection changes the balance before shooting begins. To understand why, picture the Persian Gulf as a crowded, nervous highway. Tankers move through it. Fishing boats cross it. Patrol ships watch it. Islands, ports, shallow water, and coastlines break up every sight line. At the exit sits the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's important maritime choke points. At its narrowest, the passage is only about 21 nautical miles across. Yet roughly a fifth of globally traded seaborne oil has passed through this route in recent years, along with volumes of liquefied natural gas. An incident there can travel from a radar screen to fuel prices worldwide. This geography explains Iran's naval thinking. Tehran knows it cannot match the United States Navy ship for ship on the open ocean. Iran has built a strategy around making waters risky, confusing, and expensive for an opponent. Its naval forces are divided between the regular Navy and the Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. The regular Navy operates ships and works from shore. The Guard Navy is built for the Gulf. It uses fast craft, coastal missile units, drones, mines, submarines, and island positions. This is not a miniature copy of an American fleet. It is a trap built from smaller pieces. The fast boat is the visible part of that trap. Some Iranian craft carry machine guns, rockets, torpedoes, or anti-ship missiles. Others are scouts, transports, or decoys. Their power does not come from one hull. It comes from coordination. A swarm can split into groups, approach from directions, create false contacts, and force a warship to make decisions. Even if a boat is weak, the defender must identify each one, judge intent, and choose whether to fire. That takes time. Time is what a swarm is trying to steal. It may be aimed at damage, disruption, propaganda, or panic. The idea has roots. During the tanker war of the 1980s, Iranian forces used vessels, mines, and hit and run attacks to pressure shipping in the Gulf. The methods were crude compared with systems, but the message was clear. A power did not need a carrier fleet to cause a crisis. A mine could damage a warship. A boat could threaten a tanker. A clash could make insurers nervous and force governments to react. The United States learned this lesson, and so did every navy that planned for the Gulf. Iran learned too. Survival depends on dispersion, surprise, and timing. That is why the word mini can be misleading. Small does not mean harmless. It means the threat is distributed. A fleet of compact craft can use shore support, civilian traffic, darkness, weather, and geography to multiply its effect. The boats may launch from hidden inlets or move near islands. They may blend into the clutter around ports. They may stay silent until acceleration. Their commanders do not need to sink a carrier to claim success. Delaying traffic, forcing escort missions, or making tankers change course can create the headline they want. In conflict, fear itself becomes a weapon too. Now imagine the side of the equation. The AC-130 began as a transport aircraft, but it became one of the most specialized gunships ever flown. Its weapons point from left side of the fuselage. Instead of charging straight at a target, the crew flies a circle, keeping guns facing inward. This maneuver is called a pylon turn. It lets the aircraft observe, track, and fire while in orbit. AC-130J. Ghostriders combine a 30mm cannon with a 105mm howitzer, plus sensors and systems beyond those of a cargo plane. It is less a truck than a powerful aerial battery. The guns matter, but the eyes matter first. A gunship crew can use optical and infrared cameras, radar links, and information from other platforms to build a picture of what is below. At night, a boat is not invisible because its lights are off. Engines make heat, hulls cut wakes, people move. A vessel changing direction or speeding toward a shipping lane can stand out against open water. The aircraft can stay aloft for periods and may refuel in flight, which gives it a quality boats hate: patience. A boat can sprint. A gunship can watch patterns develop across hours. This is the reason hiding becomes harder. It is not magic. It is physics, endurance, and a point of view. A craft hiding behind an island may be difficult for a ship on horizon to see. From above, geometry changes. A sensor can scan coves, track routes, and follow contact as it leaves cover. A boat may be difficult to distinguish from a fishing vessel, but its behavior can reveal more than its shape. Does it travel with group? Does it shadow a tanker? Does it race toward a patrol ship? The answers can turn a dot into a threat. That does not mean the gunship can fire. In the Gulf, the difference between an armed fast boat and a civilian vessel can be life or death. There are dhows, workboats, ferries, fishing craft, and merchant ships. An image may show an engine. It cannot explain intent. A commander needs confirmation. That confirmation may come from patrol aircraft, a surface ship, a drone, radio intercepts, observation, or the boat's actions. This is the tension. The AC-130 may see and stay longer, but it must make the right decision before it uses force. Sensors reduce uncertainty. They do not erase it. Still, once hostile intent is clear, the gunship offers a precision. The 30mm cannon can deliver fire against exposed targets. The 105mm weapon brings a heavier blow. A boat has little armor, space, and no way to absorb a direct hit. Even misses can damage engines, steering, antennas, weapons, or fuel. The psychological effect also matters deeply. A swarm relies on momentum. Every crew must believe it can surge forward with the others. If one boat is hit and another turns away, the formation can lose shape. A tactic based on numbers can collapse when confidence collapses first, but the gunship's value may come before shooting. A patrol changes behavior. If crews believe an aircraft can spot them leaving harbor, follow them, and strike before they reach a tanker, they may wait. They may scatter. They may move under bad conditions. Leaders may add escorts or demand protection from shore. That slows operation. Deterrence is measured in events that never happen. The tanker arrives and does not make news. The boat crew that stays at a pier does not appear. Yet those choices can be the point of a gunship. It makes aggression feel less cheap for attackers. Yet this is where headlines become dangerous. An AC-130 is powerful, but it is not a stealth fighter, and it is not built to survive inside air defenses. It flies slower than jets. Its airframe is easier to detect than a stealthy aircraft. A gunship orbiting creates a predictable pattern, and patterns attract missiles. Iran has air defense systems, missiles, radar networks, electronic warfare tools, and fighters. The strength of those systems in any crisis would vary, but the fact remains. No responsible commander sends a gunship into a threat zone without carefully planning for the threats looking back up. That condition changes the story. Before a gunship can hunt boats, other forces may need to find enemy radars, suppress missile sites, protect the airspace, and feed the crew information. Fighters may provide cover. Electronic aircraft may confuse sensors. Patrol aircraft, satellites, drones, ships, and shore stations may contribute. The gunship is not a cowboy. It is one weapon inside a larger network. When that network works, the AC-130 can focus on the target it is good at, a confirmed, exposed, lightly defended surface threat. When that network fails, even the best cannon becomes a liability hanging in open sky. Quick checkpoint. If this breakdown is changing how you see naval power, leave a like, subscribe before the next briefing, and send it to someone who still thinks size alone decides a fight. Iran knows this too, which is why the story does not end with a cannon. Its commanders can adapt. They can keep boats near shore, use positions, move them in bursts, or launch them only when weather limits sensors. They can place air defense weapons near operating areas. They can use decoys, radio traffic, and unmanned craft to pull attention away from the attack. Importantly, they can shift the danger from the water to the coast. A gunship might see a boat. It cannot erase the mobile missile launcher ashore that fired from land and disappeared before anyone could answer. This is why the phrase "cannot hide" needs an asterisk. A boat cannot hide forever once it is moving, producing heat, wake, signals, and a trackable pattern. But it can hide enough to make mission difficult. It can hide among civilians. It can hide under a coastal radar shadow. It can hide in delay between detection and permission to engage. It can hide behind fear of damage. In a sea lane, every mistake has consequences. A gunship has the power to destroy a boat. The harder question is whether the crew knows with enough confidence that it truly should act. That problem becomes sharper around traffic. Merchant crews may see boats nearby and not know whether they are smugglers, fishermen, patrols, or attackers. A warship escort sees uncertainty. An aircraft sees it from an angle, but it does not make uncertainty vanish. This is why rules of engagement are not paperwork. They are a weapon system. They decide who can authorize a strike, what evidence is needed, and how much risk a commander accepts. In some moments, restraint protects innocent lives. In other moments, hesitation gives an attacker the few seconds needed to close range or release a weapon nearby. Consider the fight if intent is confirmed. A craft must leave cover, build speed, and move toward a target. That creates opportunities. A drone may see it. A patrol aircraft may classify it. A ship may warn it. A helicopter may attack it low. A fighter can engage farther out. The AC-130 may become the platform that stays on station, watching contact and applying fire when the situation is clear. The power is not just in one gun, it is in several sensors and weapons sharing the clock. The swarm wins by compressing time, the defense wins by seeing earlier. Here's a way to see it. The boat attack is a race of clocks. Iran wants its attack clock to run faster than the defender's decision clock. It wants boats to appear, reach range, fire, and break away before the other side understands the picture. Defenders want the opposite. They want to find boats early, track them, separate decoys from threats, and put options before commanders before the attack starts. The AC-130 contributes because it can remain present. Presence is not glamorous, but it is powerful. You cannot surprise an enemy that has already been watching the route ahead. That is why a gunship may be useful in any particular fight beside a warship in a narrow situation. A destroyer has sensors and weapons, but it is still a ship inside crowded water. It must protect itself from mines, missiles, submarines, boats, and shore batteries. It cannot ignore choke point geometry. An aircraft operates above that geometry. It can shift its orbit, change altitude, widen its view, and leave danger faster than a surface vessel can. This does not make the gunship better at every mission. It means air power adds another layer, one that makes a swarm work harder. However, the answer may not be another boat. It may be refusing the contest on gunship terms. Mines can be laid and remain dangerous after the aircraft leaves. Coastal anti-ship missiles can threaten ships beyond the reach of a cannon. One-way attack drones can complicate screens. Submarines can force ships to move. Cyber attacks and jamming can muddy the information picture. Iran does not need every tool to work. It needs enough uncertainty to slow traffic and raise risk. That is why protecting Hormuz is not about finding boats alone. It is about managing a system of threats. This is where cost becomes complicated. At glance, the exchange looks unfair. Iran can build or modify craft for less money than the United States spends on a gunship, its crew, aircraft, fuel, maintenance, and ammunition. That is the logic of warfare. Spend little to force the stronger side to spend more, but cost is not only money. A boat that stays in port because it knows it may be found has spent its value without firing. A convoy that moves has protected more economic value than the cost of patrol. The accounting includes fear, delay, insurance, and political pressure. The AC-130 changes the equation for boats. A swarm doctrine asks crews to believe groups protect them. There is safety in numbers, speed, confusion, and the idea that an enemy will hesitate. A gunship attacks belief. It says the darkness is not entirely yours. It says the boat behind you can be tracked, beside you can be hit, and the boat ahead may be a decoy. That kind of doubt spreads quickly. In any formation, trust is fuel. When trust drains away, commanders issue more orders, crews make slower choices, and the attack loses the speed it needs to use. History offers a warning. In 1988, mining of USS Samuel B. Roberts showed how a naval weapon could destroy a modern warship and trigger an American response. That episode did not prove Iran could defeat America at sea. It proved that limited tools can create enormous consequences when they strike a vulnerable point. The lesson survives. A small boat does not need to win a naval battle to matter. It needs to create an incident that forces a choice. The defending side faces its own danger. Responding too weakly invites another attempt, but responding too broadly can widen the conflict. A counter-swarm plan has to do more than sink boats. It needs warning systems, watch teams, communications, aircraft, ships, helicopters, drones, and plans for protecting traffic. It needs mine countermeasure forces searching water that looks empty. It needs medical teams, salvage crews, and leaders who understand that saving a burning tanker may outrank destroying an attacker. The AC-130 fits into that effort as a source of observation and firepower. It is valuable because it can help break an attack before it reaches a critical stage, but it is only part of the answer and perhaps not the safest part. Imagine a crisis now. A tanker reports craft leaving the Iranian coast. It is not enough to know they exist. Question is what they are doing. An aircraft may mark the course. A surface ship may warn. A drone may watch for weapons uncovered. The AC-130 crew may receive the feed and begin an orbit outside dangerous missile range. Then contacts split. 2 slow down, 3 move. Away. 1 turns back toward shore. Here, training becomes real. The crew must keep track of group while commanders decide whether this is a probe, a feint, or the start of an attack. If contacts continue closing, options change quickly by the second. Defenders may send a warning. They may maneuver the tanker. They may launch a helicopter or a patrol boat. They may prepare measures. If a hostile act occurs, it may fire. The sequence sounds clean, then it is often chaotic. Radio calls overlap. Maps fill with symbols. Civilian vessels may cross. Weather may interfere. A mistake can become a diplomatic crisis before anyone understands it. This is why the gunship's ability to remain overhead matters. It gives the force another set of eyes when the scene becomes hardest to read. The defenders face an important choice. How much force is enough? Firing early can kill civilians and hand the enemy a propaganda victory. Firing late can put ships in danger. This is not a problem solved by guns alone. It is solved by preparation, intelligence, discipline, and judgment. The AC-130 helps because it can hold a target under observation. It can give leaders time, and time is a resource in a swarm attack. Yet every minute also gives Iran time to change course, disperse craft, or bring threats into the fight. Patience is powerful, but it is never entirely free. Now widen the lens. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a battlefield problem. It is an economic nerve. When vessels fear attack, insurance costs rise. Captains change routes. Oil buyers worry about deliveries. Governments pressure one another in private. Markets react not only to what has happened, but to what might happen next. That means a fast boat can influence events without firing a missile yet. Your turn to join the watch. Tap, like if this changed your view, subscribe for the next clear breakdown, and share it with someone who follows the price at the pump, but not the waterway behind it. A gunship can influence events without firing a round. Both are signals. One warns shipping of danger. The other warns attackers that observation is overhead. In this contest, perception travels faster than bullets. That is why the title should be read as a challenge, not a guarantee. Iran's small navy cannot vanish from a surveillance picture when it begins a coordinated attack. The engines, wakes, movement, communications, and patterns all create clues. An AC-130 can turn those clues into sustained pressure if the airspace is sufficiently secure and the force has reliable intelligence. But the boat crews are not helpless targets waiting in open water. They can exploit clutter, coastlines, weather, civilian presence, missiles, mines, and political hesitation. The gunship narrows their hiding places. It does not remove the danger from the Gulf. One future could be containment. Iran may keep boats dispersed, use them for signaling, and avoid the move that would invite a response. Foreign navies may continue escorts, surveillance, and exercises while trying not to trigger a wider war. In that outcome, the gunship's success is invisible. It flies, watches, and returns without firing because nobody chooses to test the line. This is not weakness from either side. It is the work of deterrence. The world notices only when something explodes, but stability often depends on people deciding, minute after minute, not to create the explosion in the first place. Another future is a test. A few craft could approach a tanker or patrol vessel, stop short of an attack, and measure the response. They might use cameras to record warnings, aircraft, and maneuvers. The purpose would be political as much as military. Iran could show its audience that it still challenges a powerful enemy. The United States and its partners could show that the route remains protected. But this kind of theater is dangerous because each side may read the other wrong. A nervous crew, a misread turn, or a warning shot could push event from performance into combat. The worst future is not a naval battle. It may be one strike, one sinking, or one mistaken engagement that closes the route for days. Damage could be limited, yet the economic and political shock could be huge. That is why the hardware matters, from minesweepers to patrol planes to the AC-130. Each system is trying to prevent a moment from turning into a chain reaction. The gunship is useful when speedboats are the concern because it combines long observation with heavy fire. But no platform can guarantee calm when leaders feel trapped, embarrassed, or pressured to prove resolve publicly. This is about information. In a crisis, clips of boats, aircraft, explosions, and radar maps can spread within minutes. Some will be real. Some will be old footage. Some will be edited to make a patrol look like a battle. That is why claims about vessels, deployed aircraft, or operations need sourcing. A tracking image can show movement, not mission orders. A government statement can show intent, not outcome. The audience should demand evidence without becoming blind to risk. Sensational claims make thumbnails. Verified context makes better understanding, and better understanding is what keeps fear from doing all the thinking. Behind a diagram are people who carry the danger. There are sailors on warships, merchant crews crossing a route, fishermen, and men in boats who may not control the orders they receive. This does not erase responsibility for aggression. It does remind us that a weapon is not only a machine. The AC-130 crew must identify a target, hold aircraft in an orbit, and live with the result of a shot. The boat crew must decide whether to follow an order into a situation where speed may no longer protect them. Technology changes choices. It does not remove their human weight. And that is the irony. The frightening part of the AC-130 is not the size of its cannon. It is the way it can turn a hidden movement into a visible problem. Iran's boat doctrine depends on creating uncertainty. The gunship tries to reverse that pressure in the dark. It tries to make crews uncertain instead. Can they leave cover unseen? Can they mass without being tracked? Can they approach a tanker in time? Can they trust the sky above is empty? When those questions enter the plan, it slows down. That slowdown may be the strongest effect of all. This is why the contest is not gunship versus boat. It is visibility versus concealment, preparation versus surprise, and patience versus panic. Iran has spent decades building tools designed to make the Gulf feel too dangerous for a stronger power to control. The United States spent decades building sensors, aircraft, training, and networks designed to see through danger. Neither side owns an advantage. Boats have geography. The gunship has altitude. Boats have numbers. The gunship has persistence. The boats have ways to disappear. The gunship has ways to make disappearance costly. The struggle lies in the gap between those claims. So what should we watch for? Not rumors of kill counts or posts that claim the Gulf changed overnight. Watch for patterns. Are boats leaving sheltered areas in groups? Are merchant vessels changing speed or route? Are countries issuing navigation warnings? Are minesweepers or patrol aircraft operating often? Are air defenses moving toward the coast? Are governments changing language from warning to promise? These signs do not predict war. They show where pressure is building. In a tense waterway, the signal of danger may not be an explosion. It may be a series of movements that suddenly stop looking ordinary. Whatever happens, the question is larger than whether a gunship can destroy a speedboat. Of course it can, under conditions. The question is whether it can make an attack so visible, so risky, and so costly that it never begins. That is the promise of air power. It is also its limit. A gunship can watch, it can warn, it can strike. It cannot decide what another government will tolerate, what a frightened crew will do, or how a single mistake will echo through markets and cities. Machines change the odds. People still choose the moment when odds stop mattering. That is why Iran's Navy cannot rely on darkness. The AC-130 does not make the sea simple, and it does not make the danger disappear completely. But when airspace is protected, intelligence is strong, and a crew holds its orbit above the water, hiding becomes a countdown. Every engine start, every wake, every turn toward a tanker can become a clue. And for a doctrine built on surprise, being forced to wonder who is watching may be more damaging than a shell. The weapon is not always the loudest one. Sometimes it is the eye that refuses to look away.